This is Top 30. 30 stories in 30 minutes.
Decorating your home for the holidays can definitely put you in the Christmas spirit, but let's face it can take a really long time to get your home Santa ready. We here at Top 30 have compiled some great decorating hacks to get your home picture perfect in a fraction of the time. First, make your tree look fuller by stringing an artificial pine garland around it. Now you don't need to worry about putting all your biggest ornaments in that patchy area. Second, if your tree sits in the corner of the room, don't string your lights all the way around it. Just crisscross strings of lights across the front. Third, this one's kid-friendly. When you're decorating Christmas cookies, put the icing in a condiment container for easy, less messy decorating. And lastly, when you're wrapping all those presents, put spools of ribbon on a paper towel dispenser. You can easily keep track of your color-coordinated ribbon combos. So now you can spend more time enjoying the holidays instead of preparing for them.
A company in Iceland has created the world's first negative emissions power plant. Climate scientists had hoped we could fight climate change by simply cutting emissions, but as global temperatures continue to rise, some companies are turning to direct air capture. In essence, power plants function as mechanical trees by sucking carbon dioxide out of the air, but at a much faster rate. Reykjavik Energy and Climeworks work together to open a geothermal station in Iceland that reportedly removes more carbon dioxide from the air than it puts out. It works by using air filters to isolate carbon dioxide from the rest of the gases found in the air. Then it binds the carbon dioxide to water and sends it underground, where it will mineralize into carbonates. So basically, it's taking carbon dioxide from the air and turning it into stone. But there is a much simpler, less scientifically complicated way to reduce carbon dioxide levels. Use far fewer fossil fuels. Los Angeles County has the largest food insecurity population in the US. You should first know that food insecurity is described as the state of being without reliable access to a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food. According to the LA County Department of Public Health, the cost of living in Los Angeles, combined with a low income, results in more people with food insecurity than anywhere else in the US. The director of the Department of Health says we have more than 500,000 households with incomes that are below 300% of poverty that are suffering from food insecurity. And Angelo Salazar of the Department of Social Services paints a grim picture, saying many families have to face difficult decisions whether to purchase food or pay the rent. They are remarkable facts when you consider that the riches of Hollywood are also in Los Angeles.
With the Department of Education reporting national student loan debt at a record $1.3 trillion, it's no wonder a recent survey found millennials would rather give up many basic freedoms in exchange for debt relief. According to a study by loan company Credible, almost 50% of the 500 millennials surveyed would give up their right to vote in the next 2 presidential elections in exchange for having their debt forgiven. 42% would give up the right to travel internationally, 13% said they'd give up texting for a year, and perhaps the most telling, just 8% of those surveyed would rather retain their rights and continue making monthly payments on their loan. While the Trump administration's stance on student loan forgiveness is currently unclear, we think almost any proposal would be better than these alternatives. After 10-year-old Janice Bailey saw a photo of a sea turtle with a straw stuck in its nose, she wanted to find a way to prevent it from ever happening again. According to the Associated Press, Janice started researching the topic and discovered that some 500 million plastic straws are used every day, with many of them ending up in the ocean. And so she turned to her local community for help. Janice approached restaurants in her hometown of Dothan, Alabama, with her concern and suggested only providing straws to customers upon request. If using a straw is a must, Janice suggests using metal and biodegradable versions. So far, Janice's community has been receptive, with at least 4 restaurants providing straws just by request. A small change that could save many. It's hard to believe this girl is just 10.
Here is your Top 30 Health Roundup. A study of 900,000 stroke patients admitted to US hospitals found most of them had one or more of the common preventable risk factors. Risk factors for stroke include high blood pressure, high cholesterol, illegal drug use, smoking cigarettes, and diabetes. And lead researcher Dr. Feda Oliver-Otite said an estimated 80% of all first strokes are due to risk factors that can be changed, such as high blood pressure, and many efforts have been made to prevent, screen for, and treat these risk factors. Yet we saw a widespread increase in the number of stroke patients with one or more risk factor. According to the American Heart Association, heart disease, including stroke, is the leading cause of death in the United States. And next, as bike sharing in cities becomes more widespread, hospitals are seeing an increase in bike-related injuries. Studies from the University of California, San Francisco, found bike-related traumatic injuries increased 28% over the past 15 years. So if you're going to ride a bike, remember to wear a helmet. And last, it turns out good neighbours could actually be good for your health. Researchers from the University of Leeds found that birds who live next to family members or other birds that they know well were physically healthier and aged more slowly. That's because, like humans, birds own a piece of territory and need to defend its borders. Neighbours who respected each other's boundaries meant their communities were more peaceful and the birds overall had better health. So be nice to your neighbours because your health might depend on it. In sports, it's referred to as the GOAT, the greatest of all time. The debate goes on, but Complex.com put together their GOAT list for the major sports to end these interminable arguments. Michael Jordan is the GOAT for basketball, 6 finals, 6 championships, and 6 finals MVPs. For football, you could argue the GOAT is Tom Brady with his 5 rings, or Jerry Rice, whose stats are unmatched. But Complex.com has Joe Montana at the top of the list. The 49ers QB is 4-0 in Super Bowls with 3 MVP awards, and the baseball GOAT is George Herman Ruth, better known as the Babe. He hit more home runs in one season than any other team, twice. So Michael Jordan, Joe Montana, and Babe Ruth, congratulations.
When art history professor Barbara Mundy was contacted by Fordham University to look into their art archives, she didn't expect to find a hidden masterpiece. According to Fox 5 New York, Mundy found archival documents stating artist Cristobal Villalpando's painting, The Adoration of the Magi, was gifted to the university in 1900. The only problem was that no one at the university seemed to know where it was. It wasn't until Mundy had a meeting in the Fordham University president's office that she came face-to-face with the painting. Hiding in plain sight hung the famed Mexican artist's work. The painting, which was created in 1683, has joined an exhibit of Villalpando's at the Met in New York City and will return to Fordham University afterwards. Finally, the work of art getting the recognition it deserves. Christmas cookies are a staple of the holidays, and while there's always the classic sugar cookie decorated with icing and candy, we here at Top 30 wanted to give you some new ideas to kind of spice up your cookie collection. First, crinkle cookies. Make red velvet and green vanilla cookie dough by using boxed cake mix. Twist the red velvet and green dough together to make a festive marbled effect. Roll the dough into balls and cover them with confectioner's sugar. Place each ball 1 inch apart on a baking sheet and bake for 8 to 10 minutes at 350 degrees. Second, these snowball cookies will make you want to get in an actual snowball fight. Beat together flour, chopped pecans, sugar, softened butter, and vanilla extract. Shape the dough into balls and place 1 inch apart on a baking sheet. Bake 18 to 25 minutes at 325 degrees. Let the cookies cool and then roll them in powdered sugar. Trust us, these treats give gingerbread cookies a run for their money. They say better late than never, and that certainly applies to this long-lost library book. According to the New York Post, a man had been cleaning out his friend's basement, stumbled across a long-lost library book, and attempted to return it. Just how overdue was the book? Well, it was stamped with a November 21st, 1938 return date. racking up around $2,800 in late fees at the Attleboro, Massachusetts library. Fortunately, the man won't have to fork over the cash. The library employees are just happy it made its return home. The book, The Young Lady at Home by T.S. Arthur, is in too rough of condition to go back into circulation, but the story about the long-lost library book sure has made the rounds.
Officials in Estonia, home of NATO's Cyber Defense Center, are trying to come up with legislation to mandate the rights of robots and artificial intelligence during legal disputes. One proposal labels them as a robot agent, which is basically something between a sovereign legal entity and an individual who belongs to someone. In an interview with Tallinn, Sim Sitkats, the official in charge of Estonia's IT strategy, said, "If we seize this opportunity as a government, we could be one of the trailblazers." This lines up with regulations going into effect across Europe. Earlier this year, the European Parliament included a resolution that asked the European Commission to consider legislation to regulate self-driving cars so that the liability would be clear in the case of an accident. Hopefully, this legislation will at last bring an end to Eastern European robot rights abuses.
In today's hometown stories from Fox 4 Dallas, a missionary gave Manny Ohanme his first shoes at the age of 9, and now he's returning the favor. As founder of Samaritan's Feet, Manny recently set up a shoe drive in Dallas, providing a new pair of shoes and socks for 2,000 children in need. He knows the power of a good pair of shoes.
So don't tell me you can't change the world. So one person can make a difference.
To date, Samaritan's Feet has given over 7 million shoes to children around the world. Our next story from Fox 11 LA. People tell their hairdressers everything, which is why Human Options, an organization dedicated to ending the cycle of domestic abuse, thought it'd be the perfect place to teach signs of abuse. A seminar was recently held at Hair Concept Salon in Huntington Beach, educating hairdressers on red flags that are often overlooked. An important lesson that could potentially save a person's life. For our final story from Fox 7 Austin, at the age of 111, Richard Overton is the oldest living U.S. war veteran. Having lived in the same house in Austin since 1948, Richard's home was in need of a few updates. So community members wanted to protect Richard as he had protected our country by making his home safer and easier to get around. Together, the Central Texas Meals on Wheels and the Home Depot Foundation provided fixes like central air, replaced electrical wires, and widened doorways. A lovely example of a community helping their own.
Technology might give us a new way to beat ticket scams. Online ticket sales are riddled with scalpers and brokers who use technology like bots to purchase massive quantities of tickets and resell them for a profit. A single broker purchased over 1,000 tickets to a U2 concert at Madison Square Garden in under a minute. Ticketmaster says as many as 60% of the tickets sold on their site are purchased by bots. A number of tech startups now say they have the answer using a technology called blockchain. It's basically a digital ledger that was developed for the anonymous online currency Bitcoin. Companies like Upgraded and Crypto Tickets say they prevent counterfeit tickets by giving each ticket a unique identifier. The UK startup Aventus says users will have unique identifiers. Their accounts might have a picture of their face or other information to certify their identity. This would help fight automated programs that purchase massive quantities of tickets at one time. So in other words, if it works, the technology will mean more tickets for real, actual fans rather than bots who aren't fans. There are 6 simple things you can do to save at least $3,000 a year. 1, stop going out for lunch every day at work. It adds up quickly, and by making your own lunch, you can save about $1,200 a year. 2, make your own coffee at home instead of buying it from an expensive chain. 3, rideshare services like Uber and Lyft are cheaper than taxis, but you could save an estimated $750 a year if you took the bus or subway instead. 4, online grocery shopping services like Amazon Fresh are convenient, but you will save about $180 a year if you just go yourself. 5, you can end up paying up to $5 in bank fees when you use the ATM, so just don't. It'll save you an average of $50 per year. And finally, do your own laundry. The services that do it for you will cost you an extra $450 a year. Getting on a bus and doing your own laundry is a great thing that I will never do. A new study out of Brigham University says stress is as bad for you as eating a diet high in fat. The study, which was published in Nature's Scientific Reports, examined the bacteria in the guts of mice that have previously been connected to metabolic health in humans. According to the New York Post, a stress test performed on female mice said the digestive bacteria came up similar to what would be in the guts of obese mice. Researchers said the information pointed to stress being just as important to metabolic health as diet. However, male rats didn't have the microbial shift, but did display more anxiety and less physical activity. Scientists linked this to the fight or flight response needed for the survival of early humans, and doctors now say stress management may lead to helping weight management.
American homes are getting bigger, but our yards are getting smaller. In a new study, the real estate website Trulia found that houses built since 2015 take up about 25% of the land they're on. Compare that to 1975, when the average house accounted for less than 14% of the lot. New single-family homes are now over 2,100 square feet, close to a record high, but they're being built on much smaller lots. Since 1975, the average lot has shrunk by more than a third. Trulia says that if you want to host a lot of backyard barbecues, look not only at where homes are, but when they were built. Homes built in the 1800s sit on less than 5% of their lots. And if you really want a big yard, New England, including parts of Connecticut and Massachusetts, has some of the lowest percentages of lot utilization. If you want to be close to your neighbors, the two highest percentages of lot usage come from Philadelphia and San Francisco. Experts say that despite our shrinking yards, many millennials still dream of owning a big home with a big yard to match. Bananas are big business. The worldwide banana industry almost reached $12 billion in 2016. And for some people, bananas aren't just a snack, but rather a staple of their diet. In the East African highlands, banana consumption can reach as high as 400 pounds per capita. But banana crops are under siege. In recent years, a deadly fungus has been decimating banana crops around the world. And a bacterial disease in East Africa is destroying plants in that region. Climate change could exacerbate the damage. As storms and droughts get more severe, banana plantations could get hit hard. Warmer temperatures could also make the diseases more deadly. But scientists are working on solutions. Researchers are trying to contain the pests and create new strains of bananas that are resistant to their deadly foes. Agricultural scientist Charles Staver said it's not completely hopeless. He said bananas are a resilient fruit. They aren't going extinct anytime soon. But the pervasive damage done by climate change is bananas.
Over 100 million people worldwide use Netflix, and part of its success is making what some call Bespoke TV. And in order to appeal to as many people as possible, Netflix has a broad array of content. It also invests billions in original programming, but that creates a challenge, helping each show get to the right audience. 4 out of 5 shows streamed on Netflix are discovered through recommendations offered on the platform. Those are tailored to each user. The process happens in 3 steps. First, a team of Netflix taggers screens every program. Those tags are then added to a database and refined by a secret algorithm. Lastly, they're checked against your viewing habits. Netflix hopes that someday you'll skip browsing and go right to binging. The company's vice president of innovation says we should get to the point where you just turn on your Netflix app and automatically a video starts to play that you're very happy with. Until such time, you will have to make do with the arduous task of pressing some buttons.
Yogis have long advocated yoga's positive effect on their mental state, and for the most part, it looks like science backs them up. Several studies presented at the American Psychological Association's annual convention showed yoga could be a helpful tool to mitigate depression. When used alongside traditional treatments like antidepressants and behavioral therapy, yoga was found to reduce symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress. One study from the San Francisco Veterans Affairs Medical Center found veterans with depression depression who participated in a twice-weekly 8-week yoga course had improvements in their symptoms. However, adding yoga to a treatment regimen does raise logistical and ethical concerns. For example, what constitutes a dose of yoga and who should be allowed to teach yoga in a clinical setting? Nina Valbear from the Center for Integrative Psychiatry said more research studying the effects of yoga and, moreover, which processes involved in depression are influenced by yoga are needed. So if you're feeling down, a downward-facing dog might be just what the doctor ordered.
Thank you for watching. You can catch up with past episodes of Top 30 now on Hulu. You can also download the Top 30 mobile app and visit our website. We want to hear from you, so connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, follow, and subscribe to @Top30TV for interviews and exclusive web content. We will see you next time on Top 30.